Hello viewers, this week I jumped on Gran Turismo 7 and I was very pleasantly greeted by this. What looks like a very normal race isn't, because the specified car on this occasion is this, the VW Samba bus. Yes, that's right, 33 horsepower of pure engineering brilliance, reaching speeds well in excess of 50 miles per hour. Now, a couple of weeks ago I made this video, the slowest race ever. Turns out that was clickbait, because this race is actually the slowest race ever. And there's one big obstacle that this car will face, and it is this. The biggest hill in the entire game, or the steepest one at least. Let's see how much speed we lose as we go from about 59 miles per hour down to 33. And, well, it doesn't look good, does it? It can barely make it up the hill. We can, though, see what the maximum velocity is down this back straight, reaching speeds, oh my goodness, above 60 miles an hour, in fact, reaching 67 miles per hour, which is just absolutely astronomical. And with that information now stored, we jump into race number 1. And I'm going to be starting this race in P5, in the middle of the pack. Let's see how quickly we pull away, and it's not quick at all. In fact, we can judge the 0 to 60 time of this machine, the VW Samba bus. There is a timer bottom left of the screen. It might take a while as we've settled here into P5. Look at the angry swarm of Samba buses go around the big banking of the Alsace test course. So we kind of settle into position here, and there's not too much overtaking to be done. But let's see what we can do then as we head towards the very steep hill. Are we going to reach 60 miles per hour before we arrive at the corner? That is the very big question. Let's get that speedometer back on the screen. There it is. Are we going to touch 60? I think we did there. 60 miles an hour temporarily reached. It took 55 seconds to reach. So as you can see, it's almost as many seconds as miles per hour gained, which is incredibly slow, but fun nonetheless. Now, as we head down towards the final corner, we have two people looking up the inside. Now, this final corner is absolutely crucial to this race, it turns out. Let's have a look. This absolutely huge dive bomb against the VW Racing factory squad there, and the German's going to get spun around. Luckily for me, there was ghosting, bit of contact there, as we have 5 away at the front, a 0.5 second penalty for the pole who was on pole but now in second. Am I going to be able to creep alongside here into the banked corner? It looks like I am. Going to try and run me narrow, but I'm most certainly alongside, and we've moved up into second place. This race is going rather well so far, although it's a daily race A with no SR or DR updates. You just never know. Things could go horrifically south very quickly, especially with this guy ominously lurking in the rear view mirror. Okay, let's take a look at the big steep corner for the second time around. Cutting this corner on the right hand side there, carrying the speed as much as possible up the hill, downshifting to third. We've had some contact from behind, must have left enough of a gap for the pole to sneak through, and he's actually got a 0.5 second penalty to serve, and weirdly enough it basically had zero effect. I was thinking that this car, given how slow it would be, would actually give you a massive slowdown. It basically did nothing, which was interesting. So I remain in third for the time being, but not for long, because I've got a much better exit. Once again, it looks like I've created some deja vu here, a glitch in the matrix, as we're going to go side by side once again with the pole who was on pole and try to claim second. That's exactly what's going to happen. At the moment here, the Italian in the lead, looking quite comfortable, as myself and the pole who was on pole battle it out for P2. But I've done it again. Let's whip this one forward, though. This is not actual real speed. That was just fast forwarding the video, just so you're completely aware of that. As we then head into the kink before the big steep hill. Look how steep that is. Very strange corner, must be said. Right up behind the Volkswagen Racing factory squad now. Are we going to be able to get a better exit? Yes, we are. Very nicely done. Over to the left-hand side on the longest overtake of all time. Going to take a good 10-15 seconds to finally complete this one. As we look for the braking zone here into the final corner. Slightly turning in a bit too early there. And you'd be amazed the amount of grip this thing has. And the main thing that amazes me is that it doesn't actually flip over. But that actually was not the best exit of all time. Losing some crucial momentum on the exit. The Italian goes back through, and it looks like I might even lose second to the Pole who was on pole. As, well, he's on my left, not much I can do here. I could left-hand down him, push him into the grass, but that is not the kind of conduct we want to see on this channel, is it? We want to be a nice, proper, safe driver. So we're going to have to settle into P3 here on lap number 4. Again, fast-forwarding the video until we get towards the end of lap 4. And with only 1.25 laps remaining, and a sizable gap there to 4th, it's now or never really. I need to really get this done. Let's take a view from the passenger seat of the Super GT machine. Up the inside we go. Looks like there was a collision. We're going to go into the back of the Italian, and that has transferred some crucial momentum over to him. But now 5 away at the front. Who's it going to be? 1 lap left to go in the Alsace Grand Prix, the slowest race of all time. A snail could probably go. No, that's just a bit over the top, innit? A snail couldn't beat this. Maybe I mean a cheetah could run about as quick as this, about 60 mile an hour. I think that's fair to say. A snail though, I mean, Super GT, come on, that's not actually realistic. Don't be stupid. But here we are, lap number 5. Running out of corners here to really get the job done and cement my place in motorsports history and within the Motorsport Hall of Fame by winning this race. Obviously, this is the most prestigious race that there is, more so than the Monaco Grand Prix or the Indy 500. I think that's fair to say. But here we go then. We've got the old switcheroo. Absolutely fantastic. The slowest switcheroo you've ever seen. It might be the new switcheroo, I'm not sure. But here we go then, in towards the final corner. Can we preserve our position on the inside and claim the lead? Looks like we can. A bit of contact, some door banging between the two of us. We're going to claim the lead on the final corner of the final lap. And that is an absolutely incredible victory, cementing my place as the greatest of all time. Absolutely love it. This was the view from the Italian, who there we go, lunged into the final corner, and as a result of that contact actually loses P2 as well to the Pole who was on pole, and almost loses P3 as 2 cars come up alongside. It was actually quite close at the end. A little bit more momentum lost, and that would have been a P4 or P5. Now I decided to change the livery. Could have gone with this interesting Suzuki livery. Why not the Mystery Machine? Or even Thomas the Tank Engine. This is, I mean, that is the stuff of nightmares right there, guys. Oh my goodness. So I decided not to go with that. I thought, you know what? Let's go with this nice looking Suzuki livery. Hopefully this would bring about some pace for me. And what I wanted to do here was jump into qualifying. And as I kind of touched upon earlier, this final corner is absolutely crucial to lap time around here. Mainly because it determines your pace for the next sort of 45 seconds around this part here over the start line, through here, because it's all flat out. Therefore your exit speed determines your pace all the way around here, all the way until you get to this steep corner. And so that is why that corner is the most important. This corner is still important as well, especially the timing of your downshift. You kind of have to drive as close to the barrier as you can, and that is the shortest route around there. This coming right up is my fastest lap, so you have to approach quite wide, and as I said, the exit of your previous lap kind of determines your pace on your next lap. So it's important that I get that final corner correct, which sets up my fast lap, which is just coming up here. So, I mean, this bit is kind of simple. You just drive it as minimal distance as possible until you get to this point of the lap. Kind of cut this corner on the right as much as possible, whilst minimizing the amount of oversteer you get. Then again, minimizing distance over this uphill. Then as it goes back to the downhill, you are now approaching the final corner, which is really actually quite difficult to get dead right. You kind of have to go very wide, turn in a lot later than you think, slight brake, slight coast, gently ease back on the power. Do that quite early in the corner, and then practice that about 1,000,000 times, and eventually you'll get it right. And there we go. It's going to be a 1:21.3, which is not too bad. It was good enough to put me P2 in this race, but unfortunately P2 was not going to last long because my shift into gear 2 wasn't very good. Also, this livery meant that I could not see anything out of the rearview mirror, so I would be relying completely on the radar and my sheer intuition of many years of playing racing games and presuming where people might be and what they might do. So let's see. As I lose P2, go down to P4, and that just shows you just how crucial that start is. If you don't get it right, you're going to lose many positions. Coming up the hill then, contact between the German and Sparks in the lead. Now I transfer all of my speed over to Sparks, and as a result of that, as you can see, I'm going to get absolutely swarmed by the remainder of the pack and go down into P7. Absolutely not ideal. Tried to look behind there, couldn't see anything. Keep forgetting that there's no point in trying to look behind. Gonna have to rely on the mirrors. Someone on our right hand side here going into the final corner. Got the inside line. Gonna go in deep. Actually not deep at all, going narrow, sorry. And as a result of the ensuing chaos, I'm gonna move back into P3. So that was not too bad of a corner. 7th to 3rd. Eventually catching up with a bunter 568 who forgets to turn left. He did turn left into a left-hander, to be fair, but not early enough. Driving quite wide in the end, handing me P2. Now, in the distance was Sparks, who'd managed to drive off, courtesy of all the mayhem that occurred on lap 1, and I therefore had my work cut out to try to catch up. As you can see, the gap started off at 3.7 going into this corner, and it quite quickly came down, as you can see, by more than half a second in one corner. So I was thinking, well, if that happens again and again, I'm in with half a chance. And then mysteriously drove a very wide line, which lost him a further half a second, and I have no idea why he did that. And all of a sudden the gap was 2 seconds, so I kind of halved the gap in 2 laps, and this kind of gave me a vague hope that I might be able to retain my crown as the GOAT by catching up and pulling off a supreme overtake. But let's see if that's going to be possible as we hurtle down on the final lap now. The gap is less than a second. We are fully in the slipstream, which probably actually doesn't have much of an effect. Well, it's hard to work out. I mean, this car does produce quite a lot of air resistance. At the same time, you're not going very quickly. So if you're a physics expert, please do let me know if that should or shouldn't assist. But it doesn't seem to be assisting me as we head down the hill towards the final corner. It's going to go very narrow, and this will surely compromise the exit of Sparks' theory. As we go through the corner, it actually holds a very nice line, gets on the power quite early, and doesn't really compromise its exit. If anything, you got a better exit than I did, which is quite weird. But there we go. P2. I decided, therefore, there was only one option, and that was to implement strategy number 1, which is put the Thomas the Tank Engine livery on the car. And it looked quite funny on the grid as we line up P2. There we go. Absolute terror is going to be gracing the rearview mirror of the guy in the lead now. And surely this is the absolutely goated strategy that pretty much everyone should employ for this race. As, I mean, if this is behind you, there's no way you can concentrate, surely. Absolutely not a chance that you're going to keep your cool with Thomas the Tank Engine this close behind you. I mean, I know I wouldn't, let's put it that way. So with that said, we jump into the race, and we're doing a really fantastic job here of pulling into this slipstream, which is definitely working by this point. The aerodynamics of Thomas the Tank Engine are second to none, and I think that's quite clear to see, as now we pull to the outside, and I'm looking for the eventual inside into the steep left-hander. So I'm going to ride around the outside here to give myself the left-hand side for the left-hander, and boom, we've moved up into the lead. Thomas the Tank Engine does not mess about and gets straight down to business when called upon. And so with some actual rear view visibility this time around, I was able to take a look behind and analyse the gap coming into the final corner of lap number 1. And ideally I'd like everyone to start fighting. That's exactly what started happening here. Pretty much everyone gave up the fight for the lead, and Thomas the Tank Engine was quite gleefully able to run off into the distance without a challenge. And after 5 laps of pure bliss, I can safely report that I was about to win and retain my status as the greatest racing driver of all time. And with that, I would like to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting me on my journey to becoming the greatest. I'm sure you'll agree that that is a terrifying sight. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.